Welcome to Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on the show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. Focused on national security, policy, We would like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors: Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation, Graybeard Publishing, and of course, Sheepdog Response. We would also like to recognize some of our favorite nonprofit charities who are doing great things for those who have served this country of ours. Veterans Outdoors, Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation, PinUpsForVets.com, and the Lauren F. Bruner USS Arizona Memorial Foundation. To learn more about these nonprofits and how you can donate to their awesome causes, visit our website at www.stuandthenunn.com. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nunn. And tonight, Stu and the Nunn and Sarah. I want to welcome, as you can see, to my immediately to my right, your left. I was doing formation. You can see I have Toby way on the far side, and we have a rose between two thorns because we have Sarah right between us. And I want to welcome everyone to the show. Toby, how you doing?
Well, I'm enjoying a little wetness while you're enjoying a little heat. I believe our climate switched place for a couple of days. You're getting the Texas heat, and I'm getting the Buffalo cold and wet. But I ain't angry. I'm happy about it.
Awesome. And I wonder what it's like where Sarah's at. Sarah, how's the weather with you? We're going to start this off with your local weather at the three places.
Well, good evening, folks. I'm Sarah, our local forecast. Hi, by the way. Actually, the weather's been kind of mild, warm, still warm here. So don't laugh at me. We just started. No, it's been pretty warm still. Beautiful days, very little rain. So. There's a huge plague of stink bugs, though. That's the only complaint.
So I have heat. Toby has rain, and you have stink bugs.
Yeah.
I think I'm winning. Just saying.
Yeah.
But, anyways, everyone, welcome to the show. Again, this is Stu and the Nunn. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday night, September 26th, for episode 93. As you can see, we have Sarah with us tonight. So this is Sarah's third time, I think, on the show, and we're very excited to welcome her back to the show and have her be part of kind of give us some updates. She's a veteran. She is also knows everything there is to know about selfless service because she's been doing that. And, she's had some, turn of events. And, we have a saying in the military about Murphy's Law. And there's no doubt Murphy was riding along with Sarah, or maybe driving a truck. We're not sure. But we'll be getting to that here in a little bit. So I want to welcome Sarah to the show, welcome all of our listeners. And Toby, I just want to turn it over to you, see what you have. You want to talk about our sponsor tonight, anything like that?
Yeah, no, actually, I don't know if everyone can see the awesomeness that's going on their screen right now. If you start at your left, my right, you will see my main man rocking a little Enlisted 9, the Mad Dog 2020 Sec Def Mattis approved shirt. Enlisted 9, part of the Grunt Style family, which brings us to our center, to the rose between two thorns tonight. Sarah, all the Grunt Style of clothing, as you see her wearing the lovely Grunt Style ladies cut, looking good. Which brings it back to me. I'd like to do a little catwalk for everybody tonight and show that I'm riding the American Enlisted 9. Join or Die, a new shirt that's up on the website, enlisted9.com, or you can go to gruntstyle.com/enlisted9. And you will find their entire catalog of awesomeness. Enlisted 9 is our new premium and top sponsor of the Stu and the Nunn Radio. So when you're out and about and you see us, you'll notice that we'll be rocking the E9 everywhere we go. People want to know who we are. E9. Who would have thought when
This
Yeah.
is the best show.
Winning that we would be saying E9,
Yep.
and we are.
Yeah, it's Bush League, Sarah. That's why we're the best. We don't get wrapped around ourselves. When things go wrong, we deal with it. But if you look above Sarah's beautiful blonde hair, you see another E9 up top. So if you look above that, anywhere you look, there's E9, Listed 9, Fight Company. And yeah, we're glad to have them on and be part of this because it's just going to do nothing but make things go bigger, better, and badder. Maybe not bad. Badder in a good way, not badder in a bad way. Hopefully. But anyways.
Pinky up, Sarah.
Oh yes, I'm not the only one drinking, right?
No, you're not the only one drinking.
Oh, okay, great.
I don't know
There
what
we
Toby's
go.
doing. Toby's not drinking. I'm not
Giant
sure what's
Jack
going
and
on.
Ginger.
Toby's sporting a little
When
Yeti.
I
Toby's on the little
representing
Yeti.
Gerber Gear, Smith, and Rep Your Water.
Nice. I'm sporting the big tall one. But Toby's probably has more content in it than mine. Anyways, yeah. So we have an exciting show for you tonight, everyone. We're glad you're joining us. And if you did not know, I want to kind of hit on a few of our venues. We have a lot of people coming into the chat already. We have a lot of people on Facebook Live. But besides being on Facebook Live, we are on Twitch TV, Twitter's Periscope, and YouTube. So for your friends who have the tinfoil hats on, I think Mark Zuckerberg is watching every one of their moves and knows their political leanings, and so they don't get on Facebook. Send them the YouTube. Everybody get the YouTube. Watch us there. Share it with your friends there, and then again hit us up on Periscope and Twitch. Check us all out at stewandthenunn.com. You can get all the links there. Share it with all your friends. Like our page. We're getting a few more likes, Toby. A few more likes, not many. We need to get the page being liked more. We have more people that tune into the show than like the show. We just can't figure it out. Maybe Sarah has the answer. Why? How would people tune into the show and not like the page, especially those that tune in every week? I don't know.
I don't know. I think maybe they don't know to click or where to click sometimes. Because I've had the same thing where people will follow me but not like the page. So I have more followers than likes on my Vicious Cycle Facebook. So
Does that
it's two separate things, I guess.
Does that make you feel awkward?
Do
you like
a lot of things do. No.
That they follow you, but they don't like
me,
you.
But just not enough to like me.
Yeah, it's almost like
they'll follow me, but
it's almost like they're
It's
behind
almost
you.
creepy. They're like, all these people follow me, but they don't really like me. Like that's a lot of great like thriller novels have started that with.
It's almost like they're in that white panel van right behind you on the road, just following you along, watching your every move.
So free bourbon on it.
Yeah, free bourbon, free candy.
Well, Sarah, it's great. Candy for adults, bourbon. Sarah, it's great to have you back on.
As Willy Wonka said.
Oh, she dropped a Willy Wonka reference. I think that's the first one in 93 episodes that we've mentioned Willy Wonka on this show.
Let me write that down because that's the first one.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka on this date, September was the 6th.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Well, Sarah, great to have you back on. So there's been a little bit of radio silence / internet silence. And that's because things have taken a dramatic turn, not necessarily in accordance to plan. And all good infantrymen and all good warfighters know that all good plans go out the window after first contact. Sounds like your contact was with a vehicle, and dismounted troops and vehicles don't always do well together. So why don't you tell our listening audience what's been going on with you, where we're at, and what's the status of the Vicious Cycle?
Well, just a brief recap. I'm doing a coast to coast bike tour. I started in Yorktown, Virginia, East Coast, and I traveled due west. I made it 2,200 miles. I got to Colorado, and let's see. It was just past Wetmore, Colorado. So I went through Pueblo, probably about 30 miles or so, and about 5 miles past Wetmore, Colorado, I got run off the road. And apparently this highway is notorious for being dangerous, which I will say pretty much every single state I went through, I was warned about the route being dangerous. So there's no shoulder, no one's paying attention, it's treacherous, death is imminent. So every single state I'm hearing the same warnings. I'm All you could do is just be really aware of your surroundings, and check your rear view and everything. But I heard a lot more about this particular highway than any other road on the Trans Am Western Express route. So I was definitely on high alert on the road. There was a large truck that was coming up behind me kind of quickly. I think the speed limit was only like 40 or something. But I saw them in my rear view a ways back, and they started to kind of drift right toward the white line. So I was just following them in my rear view and making sure there really wasn't much of a shoulder. But I got over as far as I could. But they just kept coming. They kept coming toward over the white line even. So I had to get over to avoid getting hit, and there was sand, and bicycles and sand. Oh, it's yeah, they hate each other. So my tires sank into the sand, and then I fell left back into the lane. But because he didn't slow down, I narrowly missed the trailer he was hauling.
Oh
But
man.
I did fall into the lane. There was a car tailgating the truck that I also saw in my rear view, but I couldn't see the driver, so I know he couldn't see me. So as soon as I landed, I threw my arm up in the air just as fast as I could. The driver spotted me and swerved around me to not run me over. And man, I hadn't even really thought about it much, but the sound of the tires right behind my head, that's crazy. I haven't heard that sound yet. Again, I don't know how I'm going to react to it, but man, it's just right there. So I was just looking at the mountains, like all I could do is put my hand up, and so they just swerved around me, just missed me. And there was a group of
Wow.
veterans actually. They're called Team Rubicon. It's a national veteran organization. They're actually
Yeah.
in Houston. Well, yeah, it's national. They get deployed to local communities to help or security detail stuff like that. And I met them the night before in Wetmore. They were there helping after a flood. There was a ton of flooding from a fire and mudslides. And they were working down the hill, and they actually heard the sound of tires. I found out later when I got a ride back to Wetmore. But when I fell, I landed full force on my left knee. So it was about between me, my bike, and gear. It was about 250 pounds just
Oh.
directly on my left knee, um, right on the shin, just below the kneecap. And I'm surprised the shin bone didn't go through, but yeah, because it was a lot of weight. I mean, I'm no lightweight anyway. I'm like half German. And then I had my 32-pound steel frame bike and 30 some pounds of gear and water. There's a lot of weight coming down that knee. I got to ride back to Wetmore, um, and this group I met, Team Rubicon, those veterans helped me. I mean, they helped me for 3 weeks. Gave me a ride to Colorado Springs, ride to the Denver VA. I was let me borrow their vehicles for days and days and days. Stayed with cycling host for like 2 weeks. I mean, everybody was just beyond helpful, generous. So I went to the VA. First, the first doctor I saw, pretty much one of those stay off for a few days. Here's some hydrocodone. Take care. And I was like, I really need a realistic timeline. Like, I really need you to just kind of think about it for a minute and tell me, all I have is my bike. So, like, just give it a few days and like, okay, just bye. So I went home, or I went back to the house. I nursed it, took care of it. Waited waited about a week, and I tried to cycle about a mile on that ground, and it swelled up right away. And I just knew it wasn't right. After 2 weeks, I mean, yeah, I should be a little bit more shape. So I went back to the Denver VA, had a totally different experience. Went through the ER. I got hooked up with a doctor there. She was also a cyclist and has had a knee injury, and she was a little more
Perfect.
realistic about it. She didn't want to be the bearer of bad news. She told me it might be months. It might months cycle safely. So I kind of knew at that point that I was have to put my days. At that point, I just got my bike boxed, sent back, and sent my back. Not actually, finally got an MRI the other. Or, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got the MRI, and I just found out the results. I haven't even posted. I'll totally say it. It's actually a little worse than I thought. There's no fracture, there's no full tears, but my PCL, that big ligament in the back of the knee, connects, I think, the thigh bone to the shin. I'm really, but I guess that there's like a full sprain and a tear. So they're gonna have to go ahead and send me to a surgeon. I'll probably be scheduling that soon.
Well,
Oh
so
man.
yeah,
I'm hoping it won't need surgery, but sometimes they do heal on their own. So I just don't know.
right, right. Toby,
It's a
can I just want to make sure, Toby, can you hear her okay? I got a
Yeah.
little bit of background. Okay, good, good. Okay.
So the I know like people typically shy away from surgery. Is this something like that if you get the surgery done, you're going to be in better shape like than before when you started? I know a lot of professional athletes that have had knees done, and really it makes them better. Surgery isn't as debilitating as it used to be, and instead of being a temporary fix, it's actually a reconstructive rebuild that is on par with where you were before pre-injury, right? So is this something that could get done and you could get back on and fly some equipment and gear back out to old Westcliff, Colorado, and get back on the bike, or
I'm hoping. Well, at this point, I'm definitely going to have to wait till winter is over. Winter's already kind of closing in on the Rockies. It's significantly cold
for
there.
sure?
It, yeah, it's there was freezing rain and snow the other day up there, so that would be horrible. So I'm gonna have to wait anyway. But I'm not exactly sure. I know that there's like I think it's called orthoscopic surgery where it's a little more fine tuned or something. Um,
Yeah.
my left knee that was injured was actually my good knee. My right knee has been kind of bad.
Of course.
Yeah, since serving, my right knee's been pretty bad. It cracks. It's really loud going upstairs. I try not to go upstairs in front of people. It's that loud. So I should really file my claims. Anyway, that was my good knee. So yeah, I don't know. That would be the best case scenario. Either way, I am 100% continuing to finish. So as soon as I safely
The
seasons or my knee, I'm going back. I already documented the exact coordinates of my crash. It is Highway 96 mile one. I have the latitude, longitude written down. I'm going back to that same spot, and I mean, it's a no-brainer to finish. Just I have to wait. Harder than anything this trip will be, to be honest.
no, I saw your post. I guess 2 days ago, where you took a picture and your tire marks were still in the sand, and
Yeah, after 2 weeks.
marker and stuff was there. So like, yeah, no, like you're gonna you got a bone to pick, right? No, not to make a bad pun, but
Well, it was a beautiful pun.
yeah,
I'm to
I thought about it before I said it. The no, like you're gonna go back and you're gonna do this, and that's the attitude, right? That's the spirit that got you started
yeah,
when
just
you were out
kind
on
of
the coast there, and that's the spirit that
point.
all all these little things that kind of pushed you, and all the little setbacks. You've been determined through it all, and super impressed by it. Um, and 2,200 miles. That's
Yeah, I
a
have 1,800 to go. So,
yeah, like you're over the hump,
oh yeah,
except
yeah, yeah.
Rockies.
I was loving the lifestyle so much. It was scary how much sense it made. Actually, it is amazing transitioning back to normal. I blew my hair dry tonight for you folks. For the first time in 4 months. So it's so weird. I I I put mascara on tonight. It's crazy. Um, out there you just
Uh,
do that. You have to
nothing makes me feel more empowered as a man than being told that
look.
mascara was put on my behalf.
Yeah. And Toby, I don't know when about you, but I can't even remember the last time I blew my hair dry. I'm just saying.
No,
So
I
I'm pretty
did mine
impressed.
earlier.
Oh,
It
you
was
did.
awesome.
Nice.
I'm actually kind of
Yeah.
jealous. This is kind of a pain sometimes. Um, just cut it. But yeah, it's a beautiful lifestyle because it's so incredibly simple. Everything is so simplified. You have two outfits. Um, you have your things you do each day. It's so simple, and you really have time to absorb a lot of the stuff around you, not without having to stress about those little things, or really so many big things. You have like main big things to worry about. Then you can kind of let your mind kind of relax a little bit, or
Uh,
you just really think.
Almost sounds like a deployment. You got two
You know what?
outfits.
There's a lot of
Life is
similarities.
completely simple. You know what you got to do.
Just
No, it
don't.
sounds like you're on a quick little deployment cycle.
It really has a lot of similarities to the deployment, and the feelings I've been having since coming back are similar to the ones that I was feeling when I came home from deployment. Just well, I've been told a trip like this will ruin me, and I can only assume that that means I'll relate to even less people, which I totally can see how that's true. But I
Really?
just think like well, just that it's like that unique lifestyle, those the little things you notice, or just things like, holy crap, I found some paper towel. And you stuff it in your pocket. Like when I got home, I stuffed a Ziploc bag in my pocket. I don't know what I was thinking. It was a snack size. Those things are hot commodity. Those snack size Ziploc bags. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's so funny. Just those little essentials, and that they're everything. Or just
So
yeah.
that kind of led me. You kind of led me into the question that I was actually going to ask, and that was the psychology of the trip. So, um, while you were out there, uh, how was that? I know before you started, you were interested in the cathartic process of riding your bike, pushing this, and getting that time with yourself, and like uh, being engaged in the veteran community once again, in kind of like this kind of active way. So how was the psychology of the trip? Um, you know, I'm like my own worst enemy. I get on a long foot march, road march, force march, bike ride, and my mind starts playing bad games with me. And I have a horrible inner struggle. It started in Sand Hill, and it's followed me my entire career and life after that. So how was it? Like you said, you're feeling the effects now, but I mean, I got to see like there's a real positive side to this though.
There really is. It was very therapeutic. Uh, we have those adrenaline spikes, and a lot of times we don't have anywhere for them to go, or we don't know what to do with them. And when you're doing something like this, there's definitely a physical aspect where you can kind of funnel those down into that, and it's a little bit of a physical venting, and then just it challenges you to the point. There were a couple days there in the Ozarks where the heat hit me really hard. It was the feels like temperature was in the one teens, and I was out there on some steep little inclines, and the one day I just felt like I was just kind of losing my mind. I think I actually kind of was a little. I stopped my bike. I just knew I had to sit in the shade for a few minutes. I was like yelling at gnats. Um, I was just like, it was really weird. I thought I was just losing my mind or something. And the town wasn't too far away. And I just felt like on the last few hills, I was almost losing consciousness, almost. So I took the rest of my water and dumped it on the top of my head, and I just started yelling at myself, stay awake, stay awake. I was like yelling at myself. No one was around, and you just kind of, I don't know. And I made it, to the town. And I genuinely was concerned for myself. I'd reached a point where I was really exhausted, heat exhaustion, I would say, definitely.
I was
And
I was going to
it's
ask,
some,
did you think it was medical or physical or just the loneliness of the road? But it sounds like you think it was probably electrolytes or lack of water or something along that line that kind of led you down that path.
I think that day it was definitely the heat really just took me out of it. The environment and conditions and the physical thing just presented this huge challenge. Like, will I make it to this town? This really only happened to this extreme one time, but it was really I was worried. And then when I made it, it was that feeling, that high that you would kind of get, maybe when there's a close call overseas and you make it, or I guess it kind of reminded me of the C-130 ride home, after the C-130 took off from Anaconda, and I just was looking around, and we were all looking at each other, and it's like, holy crap! Wait, oh, holy crap! Like, what's going on? And like, what do we do now? What do we do now? You know. But on the road, it was just like, holy crap! I made it. I didn't know. Literally if I would make it that day. So that only happened once, but it took me to this place that it just like fulfilled something crazy, and it's crazy. It almost makes me sad that it takes that, to get to feel that that not it's not even really a rush. It's more like like accomplishment, a feeling of a major accomplishment or something, like I survived or whatever.
Right.
But psychology of it, it really makes you push yourself, and
Well, so this trip had a lot of had several purposes for you, right? And one of them was probably some level of self awareness or self realization. In following you and the pictures and the stories and everything, you met, I mean, old vets, young vets, Team Rubicon, people probably weren't vets that were just appreciative. Is there anything now, and you've been off the road for a couple weeks, any kind of reflection now looking back of something that was surprising, something you experienced you didn't expect, or maybe you went a place that I mean, and I don't mean physically, but just mentally, or you went somewhere and just you had an epiphany or something like that just kind of came out?
um yes, the highlight, really the biggest highlight was connecting with those veterans. I met a lot of veterans while I was out there. Um, and a couple of the conversations really did take me by surprise. I kind of started to realize, because I isolate really heavy, really hard. Um, and so, oh, is there echo?
Yeah, there is.
Can you
I'm
guys
not
hear me
sure
okay?
where I'm hearing it from. It just started. Toby, is that coming from you, maybe?
Oh, just let me know when.
I have no idea.
Okay. I hear it from somewhere. I hear myself, and I heard Sarah. Anyways, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. Yeah, the veterans I met, particularly the Vietnam vets, really, the conversations we had, it wasn't about comparing. It was, just straight up relating. And some of the conversations, caught me off guard. I kind of went. We both, when I was in a conversation with someone, kind of went to a place. I mean, there were some tears even. It's really something. Like I said, I have been isolating for a long time. I'm not in the same state as the people I deployed with anymore. I'm in a whole different state. They're in Ohio. I'm in Tennessee, and but just the Vietnam vets. I met a veteran. He handmade me this top while I waited. It's perfect. It'll spin forever. It's unbelievable. It's an Army veteran, um, and gave me this pocket watch that's really really special to him. It's just little experiences like that. I had those throughout the whole trip. It was incredibly therapeutic and eye-opening. The stories, um, just to connect like that. Generations don't even matter. Age, race, none of that even mattered. It was really awesome.
Did you? I know you blog some, and you track that along the journey. And it's only been a couple weeks, but have you thought about maybe would you write a book around this experience, even after now, or after if you're able to get back out there and finish the last leg? But just to document and highlight the people you met, the things you saw. And has that been a thought of yours? Even if self-published book, or just maybe take the blog to another level and put a lot more content into it, something like that.
I certainly have the content for something like that. That would be awesome. Actually, I do enjoy writing, and before my blog, I'd never once written for anyone to read it. It's always just been just me writing stuff down or just random stuff. So yeah, the more I write on my blog and the more feedback I get, the more I feel a little more confident about writing down these things, and people being able to really understand what I saw or felt or did through how I'm describing them. So it turns out people are really able to kind of be able to imagine, how I'm describing it. So it's kind of cool. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I mean that's middle America, and people just like you said, you went through small towns, you went through big cities. I mean, you had to have seen great acts. I mean, we got a question kind of acts of kindness. You probably saw patriotism along the way. Um,
Oh, yeah.
you may have had some bad experiences along besides being run off the road. You may have had, I don't know, did you see or hear anyone say anything negative or any snowflakes out there that melted because you rode by them with a flag on or something?
No. Um, oh, no, nothing like that. Actually, every single state I went through, I was like, okay, this is the most patriotic state. Next state I would go to, okay, no, this is the most patriotic state. I like all these people just had flags in their yards. It was pretty much constant patriotism the whole time. It was awesome, and I think the only thing I really encountered was maybe just a little prejudice here and there. A lot of the towns are smaller, and when you don't have the diversity and you've never been exposed to the diversity, it's a lot easier to kind of have a different kind of mind frame. But other than that, definitely there was not a lack of patriotism in it, and the generosity, start to finish. If it,
Well, you didn't go through Texas, so you didn't go through the most patriotic state. Let the
oh,
record
my
reflect.
bad, my bad, my bad.
But no, like that's. I really hope you put fingers to keyboards and you know I hope you put some of this down because I'd really like to read it. I'd like to see it out there, and I know that we know how to get it out there. So
There
I
are a
hope we
lot of
do that.
crazy stories. The tornadoes, the loose dogs, a couple of really creepy experiences. I mean, this guy had a pet bison named Norman I got to hang out with and pet. Who has a pet bison? It was awesome. It's just crazy. The New York Times met me out there. I didn't expect that. I got a message from the New York Times, and they drove up to Chester, Illinois, met at a VFW, and put me in an article there. All these things just happened. It's so crazy.
So you didn't have a PR firm or anything. They found out about it and just reached out to you, found a way to reach out to you.
Yes, I think they said they found me through my blog. I don't know if it was my website or my Facebook, but no, I just bought my bike and started
Yeah.
riding. Oh yeah, and yeah, just being back. It's weird not checking.
Oh, we lost you there for some reason. Uh,
Am I back or not?
Now you're back. Yeah, we lost a little bit of audio.
Oh
You said you were checking your Facebook, or I heard you say something about Facebook.
no, oh it's okay. I was like, oh good, they didn't hear that. No, I said it's weird going into a place not checking my face for bugs first.
Oh, face for bugs first. Totally different than
I'm not
Facebook.
even
Okay.
kidding. Just arms and just coated with little gnats and just dodging the Japanese beetles. It was like a video game some of the time because they'd come in, and it's like you have a second to. It's so I don't know. It's awesome. I don't know. It's so specific. Whole trip. The most I did in one day was miles. I did 1 century, but I did it in 6 hours, 8 minutes, and I burnt 20. Or, I'm sorry, 7,500 calories. Calorie burn. It's crazy. You have to eat the whole time. I mean, just to keep up. Crazy the amount of calories.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Toby, do you have something?
No, I was just gonna let her know that all night long she's had a bug in her teeth, which is super awkward. She probably should have
Which one?
looked at that. You're like,
She doesn't
no,
have. She doesn't have any good venison jerky that she got in Colorado.
That is gone. Yeah. Let's touch on that. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was gone in 10 minutes. I know I posted a whole post about it. It was that good.
I was very proud of that post. I've never seen anyone take my jerky and rub it against their face. You have no idea how proud that made me.
It was like I couldn't stop. It was so good. I didn't want to eat it. I just wanted to smell like it and then have it. Just but it was good. It was gone so fast. It's delicious. Thank you for doing that.
I'm
really
glad.
cheered me up.
Toby
was a
hooked you
big
up with a
help.
knife. I hooked you up at the start. I hooked you up with that kind of at the end, and not knowing it would, that's what it would turn out to be. But I'm glad that hopefully brought a little bit of smile to your face
It did.
during that time. And you cracked me up. People don't know. I texted you and asked if you got it, and you're like, I'm like, should be there today. Like, I'm running down to the mailbox. I'm thinking you should be running. Like, you have a bad knee. I was hoping you would send someone else to go get it, but I think you didn't want to trust anyone with it.
Mm-mm. No, no, no. No middleman, but not when it comes to the venison jerky.
There we go. Yeah, that was good. Well, it's kind of a when I look at your story and I look at that, it reminds me a lot of life. It reminds me a lot of combat, and I'll put it more in a military standpoint. I mean, we as we all know, all of us, and anyone listening and watching that've been in the military, um, whether you've been in combat or not, peacetime, you can have the best laid plans, you can have the best, most thorough 5-inch thick freaking op order. You can plan every contingency and every course of action, but as Toby kind of mentioned earlier, the enemy always gets a vote, and the enemy for you was the not only vehicles on the road, but the environment, and everything around you that you couldn't control, right? All the external factors, and even though you had this great plan, you had everything mapped out, and it kind of started and stopped. You had a couple of things, you had to pause for a little bit while there was an emergency with your riding partner you had. There was a lot of things like that. You still kept going. You adapted, you overcame, you applied all those principles that we learn as soldiers to keep going. But at the end of the day, the enemy has a vote. Things changed. However, I don't know if you do, but I look at your story. I look at what you've experienced so far, and I still see it as a success. I mean, you touched lives along the way. You've touched your own life, and they've touched you. You've shared experiences. I mean, best laid plans.
It's about getting back up when you fall. And I will finish. As soon as the winter lets me. So yeah, it's just you just have to. You gotta get back up. Always.
Well, we're always impressed by your efforts, and
Oh,
man,
thanks.
like, no, well, I gotta say, like, not a small undertaking. From the first conversations that you had with Steve, and then having those conversations with us, you know, this not being my first rodeo in terms of a veteran saying they want to do this cross country deal. Um, I I'll admit, like, I didn't give it the credence in the initial conversations that I probably should have. I underestimated you. You have come out as like
I'm used to it.
a whopping superstar. And you told me too. You're like, no, I can do this. In the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, if I had $1 for every time I heard that. And
Well, a lot
no,
of say things, not do them. That's kind of the
yeah,
point.
but
It happens.
you delivered. You delivered big, and we're heartbroken for you. I am especially. I know Troy is. I'm equal, more so heartbroken because Troy has been able to like brag about his jerky, and mine has yet had the opportunity to like get on the stage, and I just got to say, like, I've been perfecting mine, you know, over a lifespan of awesomeness. So,
Well, plus you
uh,
hooked me up with the Gerber knife, which came in handy multiple times.
yeah, you couldn't have
Thank
eaten
you
that
so much.
jerky if you did
I don't
have
actually
that
do that.
knife
She could not
to
have cut
cut it
open
open.
that
I
vacuum packed
opened the
bag.
jerky with the knife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Exactly.
I opened it with the
yeah.
knife.
That's the way Stu and the Nun work. That we work together like that. Together,
It
we
was
bring we
perfect.
bring joy to people.
I don't actually have the Gerber. My riding partner doesn't know this, but I stuck it in the front pouch of his handlebar bag just for a backup. He said, "Oh, I don't need another knife. I'll just." It's like, okay, I'm gonna put this
So,
in the
so he
bag.
continued.
Yes, yeah. We talked about it. He waited 3 weeks, to see if my knee would get better, so we continued together as planned. He needed this journey just as much as I did, and I told him I was sad, and I gave him my son on huge expeditions. A lot of incredible healing. I know I do. So I wanted him to have that. Yeah, There's talk of him coming back in the spring. Yeah, he's in the Rockies. Super jealous. The leaves are changing. Ugh,
Well, we wish him the best, and we do hope he joins you. If not, we're willing to help you find a a suitable writing partner when you reconvene. Uh, Again, we're happy that you were able to come on. We've had a lot of questions emailed to us on the Facebook and the Twitter, and we're grateful that you've been able to take the time to come on. I'm personally happy that you're good, and now you got to stay off your legs for a little bit, and that means you're gonna be sitting in front of a computer doing some writing, doing some great stuff. You still have your veteran-owned business that I understand is picking right up right where you left off. You got your
yes, yes.
photography, your graphic art stuff going.
Yep. Yes.
So a minor delay of plans, and you're going to recover and be better, bigger, and badder than ever. And we look forward to covering that story. And you, y'all are always welcome to come on and co-host. You're almost like part of the Tres Amigas, and
That's
we dig
awesome.
it.
Yeah, you have the same off.
Three amigos.
Yeah, absolutely. You're wearing the right clothing. You have the same kind of sense of humor. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is so tame.
This is
Oh my God.
we're being gentlemen or trying to be.
If I'd
So
gotten through
Good.
this. Oh,
Wait till we're in studio and live.
yeah, it's off the hook. Hey, so you do have a graphics art business. You do have a company on the side. Where can people, if they want to learn about that, maybe have some business to pass your ways or a website? How can they find you and talk to you about the other side of your life?
oh, well, thanks for asking. Yeah, it's Sarah Lee Photography, sarahleephotos.com. I've had a photography business for 10 years now. It's doing great. I love it. I really do love it. It's a great outlet, a very positive kind of outlet, and very challenging also. So yeah,
Awesome.
sarahleephotos.com. And also I'm gonna be documenting my recovery on my Facebook, and my website is aviciouscycle.org. So I'll be documenting, my recovery. And I'm back now, so I'm gonna probably be making some more paracord bracelets, to save up for the spring.
Yep.
Start back on the journey. I'm gonna finish it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to have you back on because, like I say, maybe we might need you fill in sometimes a co-host. We know you do great there, but when you get through that path, when you hopefully can get back out there and finish up, I mean, we're going to want to document that whole thing and keep our viewers and listeners up. So, Sarah,
That means a lot. Thank you.
oh, no problem. I mean, it's just such a
You
great
guys are
story. It's
the best.
inspiring. I mean, I think you're inspiring. I know Toby agrees with me. You're inspiring to the military community. You're inspiring to the writing community, to just anybody. I mean, it's not just one genre of any kind of person. I mean, I think you had a purpose, you had needs that drove you to this. They probably have changed along the way, and probably after going through this trip, there's probably new purposes you have to finish this out. I would imagine. So, we want to thank you so much for giving some of your Tuesday night and joining us and putting up with us and sharing your story with our listeners and fans.
Thank you both so much. You
Awesome.
guys are amazing. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Keep sporting that grunt style and stay in touch as always. I'll check that out. That is
Yes, this is my hood ornament.
nice.
I
That
just
didn't
yeah.
get wiped out. Good. All right.
No, just the front part. He's still kicking.
I don't think it bothers him much. I don't think he
I'm
felt it.
not that weird, I promise. But
All right.
You might
thanks,
be.
guys.
Thank you very
Have a
much,
great
Eric.
night.
Thanks for coming on.
You have a
Okay,
good night.
bye.
Bye. All right.
Always an absolute pleasure having Sarah on. Like I think she's a shining example of what can be done if you set your mind to it. I know the computer screen doesn't reflect her stature, um, and if you met her in person, you would not believe that person just did 2,200 miles and took on a vehicle and a trailer and lived to talk about it. No, I mean like she really is like she is the a great example of an impressive American female veteran. We recently had Genevieve on, Genevieve Chase on, and it just always impresses me, when people like try and count out, you know, women in the military, like they just don't know what they're up against. They just don't know um, the tenacity and the drive and the ambition that's there. And I'm always impressed and absolutely excited that you know the future for my daughter is so bright because of people like her and like Genevieve and stuff that are just really trailblazers.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it is. I mean, what Genevieve is doing, and inspiring so many other women, has impacted so many lives, is one thing. What many other women that have served in the military, it doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter what your MOS is. The military, whether it's the Army, Marine, Air Force, the Navy, maybe even Coast Guard. Just kidding, we like the Coast Guard too. Uh, they just there's a set of fundamentals of basic characteristics that they instill in you, things that we talk about a lot on the show, things that we push: patriotism, selfless service, you know giving to something bigger than yourself, not and it's not all being about you, looking out for others. That they just unfortunately, a lot of our country has lost those principles. Are gone. They're not taught by parents anymore, probably not
Mm-mm.
even known by a lot of parents. But the military, as some would say, from back in our day, may have softened up some, may have done this, have done that. The bottom line is they are still teaching those fundamentals and characteristics. And Toby, you and I see it all the time. We see
No,
young soldiers coming out just like old soldiers that still think that way.
no, you're absolutely correct, and you said something that is a great little segue to something that's going on in America right now, and people are not being taught certain things, and I don't know if it's because it's the public education system, the fact that it's the standards are so low, because it's leave no one behind. I don't know if it's the failure of like the family model in America, but people just aren't taught tenacious effort. And I'm not talking Jack Black and like a guitar song. I'm talking tenacious, noble effort to exercise something with a purpose. To go to the gym to do something, to accomplish something other than you know routine maintenance, to attack your schoolwork with the purpose of not passing but excelling, um, to making the team not just so that you can be there socially, but that you can be present physically and contribute and be a valued part of that unit. It's just we're not seeing it. A perfect example has been this past, well, a year and a bit within the NFL. It really kind of came to a fever point this past weekend, and I this has been hashed and rehashed on social media, so we don't have to like beat this horse too much, but it's really disappointing when people can't differentiate between a social cause and a middle finger. Like, I think people are resisting for the purpose of resisting. I think they've forgotten the initial reason for protest. I personally think that reason for protest is weak. I think it's statistically and factually unsupported. However, I agree 100% wholeheartedly and staunchly that they have the right to do it. I don't know if that's the right platform. I don't know if that's uh, going to get the desired outcome that they want. I think it's kind of hollow. I think it's, you know, for lack of a better term, they're doing it wrong. But what we saw this past weekend uh, really stated how little people respect our country. And I'm not talking about just kneeling for the flag. I'm talking about the lack of understanding of what message is being sent internationally when two teams take a knee for our national. flag as we're guests in another country, but stand for their anthem, which ironically was the anthem that we fought independence from, that we sought freedom from oppression from, that our Bill of Rights is derived from. So the irony of that is mind blowing. And it just shows that people either aren't being educated to learn the big picture, they just don't comprehend it, or they're just so self absorbed that they they think that this is about
Well, the question is it
them.
about, or do they, because they knew there was so much coverage, and we're talking about vain people that, are all about being in the spotlight, um, for most part, probably not all of them. Did they do it so they could be seen? Did they do it, Buffalo Bills had a player where several of the Bills, dozen or so, took a knee, but he stretched out. Now that became the news story across the country. It wasn't just taking a knee. He's acting like he wasn't even playing. He was stretching, doing this. So he got his cameras on him. I mean, it's like the same thing. This started because someone felt there were injustices. Colin Kaepernick felt there were injustices against blacks in this country from police. It has changed so many times now, and most recently, right, because the president made a comment and said, called not only Kaepernick but anyone that kneels as an SOB. So now the whole, the owners, the ones that contributed to his campaign, even Belichick, Jerry Jones, all those, the players, they all did it. So are you kneeling for the national anthem, which is a sign of respect to our flag and our country, because you don't like the president? Because you don't like the president said? Then carry a sign and walk around and say you don't like the president. Right? That's not the place. And I'm with you. I totally support the First Amendment and the rights that we, you and I, and many of ours that are tuned in right now, and many others that we know, great men that are no longer and women that are no longer here, fought to preserve. That is their right to do. They can have. Doesn't mean we like it. Doesn't mean we have to agree with it. But you know what they're not doing? They're not being beat and tortured like in North Korea because they expressed an opinion or did something, or in Iran or somewhere other country. They're allowed to do it and still go home every night. But if you're going to do it, have a reason. Don't do it because it's the thing to do. Do it because you really feel. There's some, there was one football player you probably know. He raised like a ton of money for the hurricane victims. There's others that have done
JJ
things.
Watts.
Yeah, JJ Watts. That's it. Others that have done stuff. That's a football player, a national sports celebrity, using his or her platform and the visibility they have for good. Taking a knee, stretching, doing whatever, staying inside the tunnel. That's what do you prove? What are you protesting? What are you proving? I mean,
wrong. Well, I mean, so the NFL is obviously a big piece of this puzzle since that's what like polarized it this last week. But one of the reasons it got polarized and one of the contributing factors that some people are talking about, some others aren't, is the fact that championship teams get invited as a team to the White House as kind of a kudos, right? Here's your opportunity. You won our national championship. In many situations, we like to call it the World Championship, like the World Series, or the Super Bowl is, it's consideredly um, uh, the World Championship of football, the Super Bowl. But these guys and gals on these different teams get invited because they're supposed to be the best that the country has to offer, and the president typically, the administration typically host them as part of a benefit, as a a blessing for that. Now, the Golden State Warriors won the NBA's championship, and one of the players, Curry, was kind of lethargic in his response, and kind of like I guess feeling it out with his people of whether or not he should attend. We saw this when the New England Patriots won the Super Bowl. There were people like, I don't know if I'm going to go meet Trump or whatever, and LeBron James got on Twitter and called the president a bum. And he called him a bum because the president, and it doesn't really matter if Stephon Curry said, "I don't want to go," and then Trump said, "Well, then you're not invited," or he said, "You took too long to answer, so you're uninvited." Like that's irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, like, you don't have to go to the White House. That's not something you have to do, and the White House don't have to host you. Um, but you have a professional athlete calling the president of the United States a bum, and like that lack of respect for the office. And one thing, and maybe it's the military background, maybe it's the way I was raised in Canada, to respect my elders. Like, if you don't like someone, you don't respect them. There's more professional ways to say it, but people like they say these things, and it reminded me of something Milo would say, and it's just like this inciting, like, "Hey, I'm going to call the president of the United States a bum. That's going to make me feel like a big man." And in reality, while I don't know a ton about LeBron James, my understanding is he does put into his community. My understanding, he's very active in his community, but let's not forget, we're talking about a guy that made his money playing a sport. And the only way that he would have made money playing a sport is if he lived in America.
Yeah, there's not many
And,
others that pay, not even near, but probably pay much
yeah,
at all, right?
like,
You know what?
so,
One thing, Toby, I want to just kind of mention real quick is what gets me is I think what they're missing. I just kind of had this epiphany. What I think they're missing, the reason why I think there's such an outrage, and I don't know what the numbers are or how much the ratings have went down. I know everyone I talk to or hear from. I know my Facebook feed is filled with a lot of F the NFL stuff. Is that, man? There's politics. There's this divisiveness. There's book tours in Russia and this and Wiener going to jail and there's so much crap. There's Obamacare. People turn to sports on that Sunday or whenever
yeah,
they watch whatever game. We'll just say the NFL, right? That's the one that's going on
get
right
my
now.
mind off this crap.
Yeah, that's what they're missing. The reason
Yeah.
why I believe people are so upset, that is their time to tune out everything. They put on a movie. They don't watch TV. They put on a movie so they can just zone out and be entertained, or they go to a show so they can just leave all that behind, or they play family game night, or they do whatever. But when they watch football on it's football season, or they watch
Yeah.
a hockey game, it's because they don't want to watch the 24-hour news cycle and all that crap. This is their one time, and now they go to a game, and you got all this, and it's all about that, and it's just like I really think that's why people are so upset. Just leave it out of it, and those
No,
words
you're
are to the
you're
president,
absolutely right.
to the
And that was
president,
like
and
going
to
to
the
be the
association. I would say leave
yeah,
it out of it.
yeah, no, that was going to be my closeout. Was the reason we have Major League Baseball is because it was to distract the American public and to provide relief from working in the factories and the fact that the majority of the population were fighting a war. Um, like that's why it's America's pastime. And to see, the purpose of this recreation and this, taking us back after 9/11, that first baseball game where, the president throws out the pitch, President George W. Bush throws out the pitch. When the New York Giants played that first game afterwards, that was fantastic. But, that I think the consumer is going to make the decisions here. I think the consumer is going to make uh, it known how they feel, and I think they already have. But as a good Canadian, as a great lover of the people of my people, I want to
Oh,
just sing the song of
Canada.
my people real
Yeah,
fast.
sorry, I was about to go into that for you.
Yeah, no, I just want to sing the song of my people, and all these people that dislike America and they talk up like how they're going to go to uh, the easiest country, slow Canada, and they find out like they don't qualify. Uh,
You mean anyone that
Manning,
wants to go to Canada can't just get into Canada? Like,
no, like you actually like have to fill out forms. They have an extreme vetting system that would make
I thought it was
Trump's
easy as
vetting
I
system
thought it
look
was
like.
easy as a drunk girl on Saturday night at 3 in the morning. I mean, that's what I
Well,
thought.
no, like that's how she's portrayed, but
Oh,
in fact, like she's the drunk girl that's a virgin and has been for a long time, and probably still will until you put a ring on it. But you know, uh, Chelsea Manning went to Canada thinking like she was going to go up there and like make a bunch of money, hanging out, making speeches, pimping herself as like a national security expert. And she got to the border of Canada and got informed that she's not welcome there. And the reason she's not welcome there is purely because she was convicted of crimes that amounted to treason. And as a result of the crimes committed, result, you know, of treason, she's unwelcome in Canada. She is untrustworthy to be part of Canadian society, even as a guest and as a tourist. She is unwelcome, and or he is unwelcome. And she was turned around. And of course, her answer was just like it was when Harvard, asked her, rescinded their offer for fellowship. She said, he said that, well, Canada's a police state. And well, I don't know if you found me on Twitter or not, but at Toby Nunn on Twitter, Canada's not a police state.
See that right below your name there, right below your
it,
picture.
it's a Mountie state, and we always get our man. And
or a woman, or a man that thinks is a woman, or either way, whatever.
Right. Like, you commit the crime, you're not coming into the country. I got friends of mine, great friends of mine, that have had indiscretions as simple, or like a driving under the influence, that aren't welcome in Canada for 8 years as a result of that.
I was going to mention that. That's a lot of people don't realize that, being near the Canadian border and going across a lot for hockey games and tournaments and coaching. Yeah, you have a DUI, 8 out of 7, but either way, the last 7 or 8 years, you can't get into Canada. You can't.
Yeah, no, like the naivety of people that think, well, we're just gonna, Canada's our $2 whore, like that. It's so wrong. And
that would be two loonies. That'd be two loony whore, right?
Yeah, it'd be a toonie.
Toonie, a toonie, yeah.
But I'm so proud of Canada looking at things on the merit and not as a social issue, and just saying, hey, look, you're a convicted felon. Your crimes are this. As a result, you're not welcome because you're not trustworthy as part of our society, even as a guest. And caveated the statement with, and if you did those crimes here, your punishment would have been far greater. And I'm just,
I got an idea for Manning, and you call him Chelsea. I always refer to him as Bradley because that's what he's a dude. But so it's kind of you to do that. Very, very open and for you. I bet he wouldn't care is North Korea. I bet he could go to North Korea, and they would welcome him with open arms like nobody's business.
Oh man, he could be a security expert for Kim Jong-un, and he could be on national television every night. He could be the voice of America.
I think Kim Jong-un killed his wife. Maybe an optionary could have found a little romantic. He's in the bowl cuts or whatever, but there could be an option there to become a first lady. Wow.
I don't know, man. Once you've been with Rodman, I don't know, like, how you, like, go to a more petite person. But,
sometimes the catcher wants to be a pitcher. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Sometimes.
They want to move over to the mound out in the middle.
But North Korea's, saber rattling, has continued, trying to use that letter, which was clearly not written by Kim Jong-un. And I love how, like, people in America really think that he wrote that letter. I mean, okay, the dude's grasp of the English language is okay. That was written by an Oxford level, like, grammar PhD person. I don't even know, like, the words, a literary expert wrote that. However, like, the points in it are pretty simple. Like, we didn't ratchet up this talk. We just said that if you follow through with what you've threatened to do, we're going to end you. And that's not ratcheting talk. That's just like, let's give you some expectations. And people are like, oh, like, Trump's causing nuclear war. No, Trump's not causing nuclear war. Trump's not bringing us to war. History lesson, viewers and listeners. Since 1950, the United States has been in a state of war with North Korea. There was a peace treaty made in 1952, which was a very limited armistice, which said, you stay on this side of the fence, we'll stay on this side of the fence. You watch your mouth, we'll watch our mouth. But if we want to, we'll smacketh you down, and likewise.
And let me tell
So
you,
we're not.
having been stationed right there, having looked across to North Korea, having heard the North Korean propaganda for a year, they tell you that right when you get in country, especially when you go up to north where I was at, that it is, it's always on. And it's funny because they call it the demilitarized zone. It's the most before 9/11, it's the most militarized place in the world. And the actions of even the most junior soldier could have international consequences. Trust me, they drill that into us. And there were times when there were things that happened. I can tell you, Toby, time and time again, I would call back and talk to my parents. There was stuff happening over there. There were cross-border shootings. There were things that were never making the news. It was so commonplace that almost nothing ever made the news. And you're right. That war has never officially ended. But people can't even remember that they can't remember why we left. Why we got our independence from the UK, and they stand for God Save the Queen. So I wouldn't expect them to remember 1952, 53.
No, like one of the things, and we're about to wrap up, but one of the things that's just mind blowing about the state of American understanding is 2 months back, Prime Minister Trudeau was on the cover of Time magazine. I believe it was Time, or Rolling Stone. And the caption is, "Why isn't he our president?" Then after this letter was written by this Oxford or whoever it was that wrote it, not Kim Jong-un, it was, wrote this letter in response to the president's UN General Assembly speech. People said, well, let's trade for him because he behaves better. And, granted, I'll be the first one to say, I don't like the verbiage and I don't like the delivery, a lot of messages that Trump delivers. I don't like the delivery. He's right on a lot of stuff. He's and there's like no denying that. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Like, facts are facts, and his delivery, unfortunately, makes you not want to like it. But people think that wanting another world leader, especially one that starved dogs for 30 days, then fed his uncle to the hungry dogs, is a viable choice for trade for what we currently have. And their hatred and their vilification of a leader has gone to such a level that they are just beyond repair. Here in Austin over the weekend, we had another rally, and it was all hammer and sickle. It was all, like that was the flag of 2 to 3 generations of oppression. That was the flag that sent thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands to millions of people to their death. And you're celebrating it like it's an option to the land that you're in. Ask the Chinese about Tiananmen Square. You're not even allowed to Google Tiananmen Square in China. They are censored to the point that you cannot even have Google or ask a question about, any kind of uprising. But you want to march with those flags, and you want to think that you're grasping the world and you grasp the understanding, and you have no comprehension. And it's just so sad that we're in. But I digress.
That you bring up good points. It's it's not just in this country. I talked about Korea a second ago. When I was in Korea in '89, the older generations loved us. The younger generations at the universities there were a lot of North Korean agents that came across and stirred things up, just like our universities now. I mean, exactly verbatim. You can go back and look at the news from the '80s and '90s. It was that way because the '70s it was still too fresh. We had the axe murder at the tree in DMZ. There's other things that we almost went to war in early 70s because of that. But in the 80s and 90s, those young college kids forgot, and they were being stirred up, and the older generation loved us, the Americans, that is, because they knew what we sacrificed and did to keep them free. We see the same thing now. The young people today being stirred up by the professors in academia and the media, 100%, have forgotten what this country's history has been all about. And it's sad that the days of 2002, 2003, 2004, that level of patriotism, that level of pride in our country disappeared for so long. And it's now coming back. And now when it comes back, you're now labeled fascist, racist, and everything else. When, and it's amazing that the people that talk about coexist absolutely don't want to coexist with you. But anyways, I digress too. A lot to rant about tonight, and we got to be getting ready to call it quits. But yeah, it was, I don't know, great show tonight. What do you think, man? Having Sarah on is always great.
Yeah, I absolutely am a huge fan. I'm excited for her to get back on. But until then, I know Warrior Media Solutions have hired her to do some work.
That's a great company, I heard. Warrior Media Solutions. That's awesome. That's
yeah, no, we're the company is excited to give her some work. The company policies to hire veterans in every opportunity. We only in one circumstance hired a non-veteran, but that was such a specific expertise we could not find one. But always happy to do that. We got some great shows coming up. Unfortunately, next week I will not be here because I will be celebrating my anniversary with a little lady, my lady, and we'll be taking a little anniversary trip. So I will not be on the air. You'll be on the air.
Yep.
You'll be bringing in a special guest host to make the magic happen.
Maybe it'll be Sarah. I don't know. It could be. We don't know.
We just don't know. And then we'll reconvene together the week after that. So excited for some big shows coming up. We have a very special guest coming on in the very near future.
Oh, man.
Huge guest.
You don't
huge
even
guest.
know. Yeah, there's so many things in the works.
Yeah. So we as always, people don't realize how we do this, but the Bald Brotherhood pull through some like wicked awesome stuff sometimes. I said wicked, for all the people from Boston, like Maggie.
Maggie. That's a big shout out to Boston Maggie if she's listening.
But Twitter and the wickedness. But we got to get going. Appreciate everyone liking our Facebook page. If you tuned in, this is your first time listening, please like the page. You can find us on Facebook Live. You can find us on the Twitter. Watch our show on Periscope, the Twitch, as well as YouTube and Spreaker.
That's right. Can't forget the Spreaker.
That's a shout out to all our platforms, a shout out to all our peeps, and thank you for tuning in. I am the Nunn.
And I'm the Stu. And that sign above us is the Enlisted 9 Fight Company. We are glad to be partnered with them. We are glad they help keep us on the air and to be part of our show. So you're going to see me and Nunn supporting a lot of E9, right? And every show. And good friend and past guest, Colton Smith. We couldn't ask for better partners on this. So, yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in with us on this Tuesday night. Again, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Toby won't be here next week. I'll be here, and we'll have a great guest. And like I said, we have some big ones lined up coming up in a few weeks we are pretty proud of. So with that, I want to bid you a good night, but everyone else a good night, and make sure you share it, like it, tell your friends about it, tell your enemies about it. We don't care. Have everyone tune in and listen. We think it's good content. We hope you do too. All right, everybody.
Tomahawks.
That's it, everyone. Let me... Got to do my stuff here. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Stu and the Nunn Radio. We hope you enjoyed your time with us because we have enjoyed sharing our time with you. Be sure to check out stewandthenunn.com in addition to asking us questions and interacting with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker and Facebook Live. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, BlueHammer.com, Veteran Outdoors, Graybeard Publishing, and Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again, and have a good night.